Do the tough things first.
Ray Zinn now imparts his management philosophy in Tough Things First. Zinn covers the gamut from the essence of human happiness
Having value is key to human happiness.
to the downside of venture capital for entrepreneurs,
Venture capital can be the antithesis of entrepreneurial spirit.
the essence of entrepreneurial discipline.
An entrepreneur without determination is truly an oxymoron.
Ray Zinn, Silicon Valley's longest-serving CEO.
Hello and welcome, friends, to the Tough Things First podcast. I'm your host, Guy Smith. One of our listeners, and I hope I pronounce his name correctly, Tom Bruno Magdich, wrote us after listening to episode 2 of the Tough Things First podcast. Tom said, and I quote, "In episode 2, Ray suggests that there is no discipline in an organization unless there is self-discipline. Self-discipline is a vital quality, particularly for entrepreneurs. Of course, knowing intellectually what needs doing has to be followed up with recommendations on what we need to be in order to achieve our goals." Well, Tom, we cannot agree more. So with Ray's help, we'll do just that. Good morning to you, Ray.
Good morning to you there, Guy.
Tom asked a provocative question, though I think we need to set a foundation. Let's begin with the leader and self-discipline. What personal qualities do leaders need not only to have self-discipline, but be able to instill organizational discipline?
Well, discipline is for everyone, not just for the leader. Of course, he is the top of the leaderboard, as you would, and so he has to be the one that leads out and sets the example. But everyone needs self-discipline, and basically what that is, and we talk about that in the culture of Mike Krell, starts with honesty, integrity. Integrity, by the way, for those of you who are confused about the difference between honesty and integrity, integrity is doing what's right when no one's watching. That's part of self-discipline, is being able to do the right thing when nobody's around. And then the third culture we had at Mike Krell, which is dignity and respect for every individual, every employee. Every employee deserves the love and respect of any other employee. And we didn't allow any condescending language, no swearing, also as part of the culture of the company. And lastly, do whatever it takes, no excuses. So again, that goes to that self-discipline. If you make a commitment, meet it. If you can't make the commitment, let your manager know and set a new date, but meet that date. So the bottom line is, if you're going to make a commitment, meet it. And that's part of that self-discipline. And then in your own life, your personal life, you need to be disciplined too, so that you will carry that over into your work life.
Well, that certainly makes sense, but that brings up the bigger question. What are some of the daily practices that an individual, especially a leader, should be doing in order to develop this self-discipline in order to turn it over to the rest of their organization?
Well, that's the title of our book, Tough Things First. So, and I call it Loving the Things You Hate. So again, if you can learn to do those things you don't like doing, you're less likely to procrastinate those important functions. I know that sounds like an oxymoron. How can you love something you don't like? But that's what you do. You just keep persisting at something until you get it right. Not that the nature of the task is different, but your persistence in doing it, you learn to do it better. And so you can actually learn to love things that you really, in the past, have really hated and detested doing. Once you start doing that, once you learn how to do that, you will find that you will become a very disciplined person. As I've defined many times in the past, discipline is doing what you don't like doing and doing it well.
Well, what about organizational discipline? That's a different beast. What daily practices make sense in training a team or even an entire company in being their very best?
Well, we start out by having a team effort as opposed to an individual I effort. You know, as I said, no I in team. So make sure your team is working together, that there's a degree of civility among your people, that they are talking nice to each other, that they're working together. I always like to, when people call me or come to my office, I say, "How can I help you?" And so if you get that kind of attitude going around your group, you know, where each person is saying, "Oh, how can I help you?" That just stimulates friendly and a helpful atmosphere. And as a consequence, you'll see that your efficiencies will improve dramatically.
How does a leader then transfer his own self-discipline, this sturdiness that he's created in him or herself, to other people, and in turn have them carry the mantle down to their teams and their staffs and their divisions?
Well, if he's going to be a good leader, he will have a hero image, meaning that his people will look at him as a hero. And so he has to do heroic things. He's got to be the one that's out there in front, taking the lead, showing his commitment to the company. He's the one that's setting the example and the way he accomplishes his respective tasks, that he meets his goals. You can't say, well, do as I say, not as I do. That just doesn't work. So, you got to walk the talk. So a good leader that's going to instill that sort of feeling in his organization is he has to walk the talk.
So one of the key points made here is that there is no discipline without self-discipline, but it's also there is no organizational discipline unless there's self-discipline from the top. That should be etched in stone somewhere, and perhaps in your office lobby. Make sure that this becomes part of your daily mantra. Now, add this little bit of discipline to your routine. Subscribe to the Tough Things First podcast and have each episode automatically added to your playlist. That way you gain the wisdom of Silicon Valley's longest-serving CEO every week without fail. And once you have done that, connect with Ray on social media. You can find his points of contact on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and at toughthingsfirst.com/contact. Thanks for listening, and we will be back next week.